back. WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. I'm wearing on the sweatshirt out here. Going to have some new swag in here from our friends at Strategic Factory sometime soon. The holiday season means eggnog ice cream. They have invited me over to stir it up at Tahark. There's a little Bob Marley reference there for you with Wake and Bake. But the sweet potato crumble, the eggnog, the peppermint bark, all together. Todd Schuler, they're trusting me to mix the eggnog because it doesn't have ingredients as such, that they feel like I could do a decent job of churning something that doesn't have like chunks and bits and bites and stuff, because I don't want to screw up the sweet potato crumble. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want to do that. If anybody
How are you?
I'm good. I'm making it.
Well, last night I caught up with you. We were doing Thanksgiving. We were doing Calvert Hall Loyola. We weren't doing Calvert Hall Loyola. The Ravens caught the virus since the last time you and I got together. And I know we had talked about how much we love football. You talk about your dad and traditions and your high school traditions in the hall and all that, Thanksgiving Day and Memorial Stadium and Johnny U, all that. Then there's the Ravens and what's happened here the last 2 weeks, where we wondered, well, what happens if a quarterback room gets taken out? Well, we'll play with a backup wide receiver. What happens if half the team has COVID? Well, you'll go to Pittsburgh. You'll play just a few days later once we get everybody swabbed and tested up and all that. And in the aftermath of this is where I want to put your legal work together, Todd Schuler. In the aftermath of that, the Ravens have been kind of quiet about all of this. And I'm thinking, there are probably some legal things. And I know you have mentioned to me COVID and legalities over the last 7 or 8 months. So I just wanted to throw it to the law firm of Blondell Miller Schuler and have you on as our legal eagle here. But I was talking to Luke in the aftermath of the game. I'm like, well, they're still not through this, right? Whether they're going to play this week. Some guys are going to play, some guys aren't. But until everybody gets back, they probably have to keep their mouth shut like any employer would, right?
Well, the legal ramifications. I mean, the beauty of deciding what is and what is. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about it from a general liability perspective, and then from a workers' compensation perspective, which are two very different things. And you're getting me without a full coffee regimen yet.
No, I would say to you, but what happens if a player really gets ill? And you know what I mean? Like, what happens if someone fatally doesn't recover? And I guess that could happen with anybody and anything in the era of COVID, right? It can be asymptomatic sniffles. It can be something we're talking about years from now. We just don't know, right?
Yeah. And in the world of workers' compensation, if it happened at work, you have a claim. So if you contract COVID at work, you have a claim, and your only burden of proof is to demonstrate that it happened at work. Now, you still have that extra layer of prove that it happened here, prove beyond, to a reasonable degree of medical probability that it occurred here. And so where your whole quarterback room gets it, or a certain set, the offense gets it and the defense does it, if you can trace it and say, look, it obviously came this path, you have a workers' compensation claim. In a liability claim, where we're trying to prove somebody's negligence. If I want to sue you because I got, COVID at your business, I have to prove that you did something negligent.
That would be like tripping on ice in front of somebody's place, right? Same thing?
So ice cases are always a little bit funky because, whose fault is the ice? And there are several bad cases for plaintiffs that set legal precedent that, that you're supposed to see the ice basically. When you slip and fall, there's another layer that not only did somebody's negligence cause your injury, but that you didn't know anything about it or couldn't have known anything about it. And so it has to be, to a degree, be hidden from you. If you walk across the same patch of ice every day, and then one day you crack your back and there's ice there, you've assumed that risk, you've contributed to your own injury, and your claim would be disallowed in that situation. So a lot of the debate in the congressional bill for additional relief is hung up on some desire from one side to have immunity against lawsuits as part of the bill, so that businesses can't be sued, if they cause somebody's COVID. I think that's pretty silly and unnecessary because, again, I don't just get to sue you because I got I went into your store and I contracted COVID, I have to prove not only that that I got it there, but that you did something you shouldn't have done to give me that COVID, and that I didn't take any actions, to cause it myself. So the high legal threshold is already there. I think to seek immunity is a little bit silly, um, but that's certainly
Well, I
part.
mean, the reason I bring this up is the Ravens have been quiet through this. Dick Cass is issuing press releases. Not that the Friday news dump isn't good enough. They had to do one on a Saturday afternoon, that the press release comes out. And I'm like, why are they running into other than embarrassment, the fact that, I mean, let's be honest. And I talked money about this with several of our guests this week. What it does to the league when they lose a Thanksgiving night game, right? And wind up moving it to a Wednesday afternoon. And then they wind up moving last Thursday's game to this Tuesday, right, with the Cowboys, right? So I would think they can do kiss-ups and make nice on TV and networks. One of the reasons they haven't ripped this whole thing apart is because of network TV, although my model would have them having a World Cup-style tournament sometime in the winter where they could just own everything instead of playing half-ass football games. They managed to get the post a little better this week. I would say in the aftermath for me, I know they all have had wristbands, right? They have a level of contact tracing in Owings Mills that is state of the art, right? I mean, the NFL made this happen so that they would not miss games on Thanksgiving, so that when one person came in, maybe they could limit it to 2 or 3, that they wouldn't get half their building infected. And in the aftermath, and Todd, you're probably not familiar with this, but I'll give it to you. Cass said there were several different strains, which leads me to believe that, like, they know exactly where it came in the side door. The whole building's videotaped. Everybody had wristbands. That it is not a secret as to how the Ravens players contracted COVID in their building. Now, I would think from a legal standpoint, until everybody gets healthy, they know more than normal people would know about this case. Clearly, I mean, they issued a 4-paragraph press release, and in it they talked about the various strains that came from within and outside the building. I'm thinking, yeah, they got the DNA on this. They might as well have your text threads. You know what I mean?
Sure, but again, I'm not sure it's anything that they need. And am I not coming through okay?
No, you're perfect.
I in a workers' comp, and now analyzing from a workers' comp perspective, every Raven that can prove through contact tracing that they got coronavirus at work has a workers' compensation claim. Also, every Raven that has coronavirus.
So I wasn't wrong in thinking legal first, right? Before you get the players, and it's an NFLPA. It's complicated, but that's probably one of the reasons nobody's put 2 and 2 together. That's all. I mean, I'm wondering why we haven't had better reporting on this, but we can't get in the building. They've locked us. It is what it is, but I would think they had a legal thing, and that's just why I brought it up. That's all. But I've been hard on them this week.
In terms of getting sued on top of that, workers' comp law makes it so that you cannot sue your employer. So, there are very few situations, if any, in terms of an injury at work or a disease contracted at work, where you could sue your employer. So there's no need to be hush-hush. The Ravens could have done everything state of the art and everything perfectly, and accidentally one guy ends up with it and infects the building. Well, that doesn't matter. Either in terms of them being sued, they can't, or them having workers' comp claims, they all have them. So
fair enough.
For whatever that's worth,
and then they're going to play football.
And then they're going to play football. I would think that the silence, if I was a betting man, would have much more to do with the public relations of it all than protecting themselves against a lawsuit.
Well, the public relations part should be if they're transparent and a leader and they made us change our schedule 4 times and again this week to watch their game, that the least they could do is paint a little bit of a picture of what not to do with Blondell Miller Schuler about contracting the virus, right? Like literally, you're in an office, you have an office, everybody has an office of some kind, or they go places that are offices or are workplaces that, that even the Ravens wound up getting it, right? Like there's a point where you're like, this is why you need to be diligent, right? I mean, that there could be a public service part of this as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can see it when you watch a game that they're taking pains to look like everybody's wearing masks whenever they're supposed to, right? Everybody's keeping the proper distances. I mean, you see it. And frankly, the NBA did just a ton better of a job of it with the bubble and everything else. Baseball did a lot better of a job with it, but they're at least putting the public face on. We're all into this. You can't imagine they all have the same amount of buy-in, right? They're just like a regular group of the population. Some people are taking it very seriously, others are in the middle, and some are not taking it seriously at all.
It is amazing. I shared the Bill Nye video about how it completely has gone along the lines of political belief in this country, that it has been politicized to the point where one side believes that it's a thing and the other side doesn't believe it's a thing, and even some members of the other side have caught that thing.
But even amongst that, it would be simple to divide it amongst one side and the other side, and yeah.
But I'm saying
absolutely.
There's a belief system that it's not a real thing, and that's unto itself, that is foolish. Like, unto itself, other places and cultures have not had to deal with, it's not really a thing, I'm just playing along at work. Right. There's a lot of that. I see it every day, Todd. You see it every day too.
Amongst those who don't assume that they're ever going to get it is still a subgroup that is more protective or protected than others. And amongst those who genuinely fear it and, believe it's knocking on the door, there's a subgroup that gets more and more lax. And you've done it, and I've done it in our entire 9 months that we've been into that. You kind of go into the bunker really hard for a while, and then you loosen up for, you meet a neighbor.
I keep the Purell in the car. Like the minute I walk out of a place, I Purell on the way in, I Purell on the way out. I went in to a bank the other day. I went in, went out, and then I get in the car and I squirt, and I always have the mask on. We wash our masks, thoroughly and regularly. We wear them over our nose. I wear it so well that my glasses fog up, and I haven't figured out how to not to do that. But, man, we're all coping with this, right? And here come the holidays. And I guess my point with the Ravens is even the Ravens got it, right? And they haven't been forward about it. And I think more people, as we go into this winter, have to realize that it can come to your house too. And I know it's easy to say that, but when it does come to your house and it F's up your football season and your schedule and your quarterback and your roster and the game and the league and television and on and on and on and on, I would think that this is a good story to tell about being vigilant. That's all.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right.
That's just where I stand.
When it gets the sports people, when it gets the political people, when it gets the celebrities, that's just another great way of reaching people and saying, hey, look.
Remember when Tom Hanks had it?
Yeah, that was like the first guy, right? It was like a big deal.
Like video killed the radio star on MTV,
He was the original. But yeah, so a good reminder. I mean, you and I know that help is on the way, that we are, reaching the finish line. We can see it. It's out there. We don't know exactly where it is, but, it's down the line there. Let's not try and go get it before we get the vaccine, if we could just hunker down a little bit more. I think if we get clear this winter, more and more people are going to have it, the vaccine, that is, they're going to start distributing it within a week, and then some doctors are going to have it, and who knows, by January, maybe grandma has it.
Todd, I'm afraid of shots. What do I do?
You're just going to have to get the thing, man. I mean, there's no, I don't know. Maybe we give you
like
the
this, like close my eyes, just like this. All right.
Hit you on the head with a frying pan from behind and knock you out and jab it in you. And by the time you wake up,
I usually make my wife hold my hand. My wife's diabetic, right? So she's like taking shots all day long. My wife's like takes 3, 4, 5 shots, sometimes 7, 8 shots a day. So like she's really tough. So anytime, obviously she's tough. So then it's like, man, I gotta get a shot. What?
Yeah. Don't be a coward. Look, you use her as an example, right?
I do, believe me. I think she does this all day long, right? I can't suck it up.
You can't take one damn shot.
It still sucks, though, no matter what. Todd Schuler is here, Blondell Miller Schuler, former delegate. Do I have to say that to you, or Moeller always tells me that I have to be reverent to people that ran for all. I have to.
Ancient history. Haven't been anything political in 10 years. So,
Good. All right. Well, I don't know. We're all political at various points. Blondell Miller Schuler, you're going to get me a hat soon, or a shirt, or a coffee mug like your pal Bill Cole here does. Tell me what you do down there, because I just sort of like flew in with a legal issue to begin the thing because it was on my mind. But I do want to talk some football with you.
Yeah, no, we're right down here on Eastern Avenue. All injuries, workers' comp injuries, automobile accidents, construction accidents, COVID, at work or through the negligence of somebody else. These are all the things that we've handled over here. Our staff, Mark and I have been practicing together for about 20 years. I did leave for a few years, but that's a different animal. But you know, our staff worked here well before either of us were hired right out of law school. So we've got
So when you say old school in Essex, we got old school in Essex, right?
we got
Literally.
old school in Essex. We have the institutional knowledge that is amongst the staff here at Blondell, Miller and Schuler is beyond anywhere you might expect. I mean, some of these folks have, like I say, worked in our firm or our predecessor law firm for up to 40 years in some cases, and well over 25 in at least 4 cases. So we have a lot of experience here, and we can bring your claim home.
Well, I tell you what you didn't do is do your Thanksgiving thing. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to at least talk about life after Calvert Hall Loyola, because we stirred it up a little bit with that 2 weeks ago. And honestly, it felt like the game was going to happen, right? Then it doesn't happen. I think a lot of things in life have felt like we're going to happen and then haven't happened at the end, right?
Well, the best was the scramble to try and get into the game. As you know, I went to that football game 43 times in my life, all in a row since I was 9 months old.
You still haven't missed one.
I still haven't missed one, but I'm going to get to that. I don't know if I'm going back. I mean, I set myself up in that little Bloody Mary bar in the garage, had a neighbor or two stop in. And all the whole time I'm thinking, I'm watching the Macy's Day Parade, and I'm thinking, the Calvert Hall game's on TV. You don't have to go back. But boy, in that scramble, I mean, I had you trying to get me a press pass. I had the principal of Calvert Hall I'm asking. I had assistant football coaches I was asking. I was pulling all the stops, like.
Yeah, I pulled the Three Stooges press, pull card for you. Press, pull. Yeah. You remember that?
But yeah, now that I've not done that, now that I didn't make that part of my Thanksgiving, it is possible. I sleep in and play a little backyard football with the kids, and set the old Bloody Mary bar up and watch Santa come down Broadway. I don't know. It was a neat experience. It was neat.
Well, you had a hell of a thing happen this last week too. You got Wednesday afternoon football thrown in there too. So I mean, there's a little give and take through the holiday here, right? You got to be flexible.
But you got to fight the Steelers with one hand tied behind your back. That was just a frustrating day all around. And what a goofy game. I mean, what didn't happen in that game? Missed extra point. The chain at the end. Have you ever seen? It's the dumbest thing in football that you eyeball the spot of the ball, and then they bring the chain crew out to say, "Oh, is this a first down?" But when that happens, and there's still 2 chain links left, and they call it a first down, I've never seen that in my life.
We call that a bad camera angle. Is what we call that.
Yeah, I guess so, huh? And I don't know that changes the outcome. I mean, whatever. They still would have to drive the field in 40 seconds, but what a weird and frustrating game,
Well, I think it's been weird and frustrating all around for me with the league, because I thought the league would really have had a higher level of integrity to sanction a game. I didn't think they wanted to sanction a game without a quarterback. And the fact that they did sanction it, you wouldn't sanction that at Blondell Miller Schuler. I mean, I wouldn't sanction that at put that on the radio. I mean, that's the part that really kind of shocked me to think about, with all the money on the line, all the history, all that's going on, that they would serve that to Broncos fans and say, here, it's football.
Well, what do you do?
I don't say I'll never get over it, but I am a little shocked that they went through with it the way they did, because they could have found better solutions than playing games like that in the middle of the season. That's all.
Is there a forfeit though? I mean, or is there a no game and we just do percentages for playoffs? I'm a little more forgiving than you have been, just because I'd rather have football than not have football.
I agree with that.
I appreciate the effort. I'm glad that they're doing everything that they can. We knew going in that the odds of them crowning a champion at the end were bleak, and now seem reasonable because they're just going to, hit the gas and move forward no
because
matter
they're going to
what.
play games without quarterbacks and play games
Right.
without half a team. And, I guess if Patrick Mahomes goes, they didn't care about Lamar Jackson. They didn't care about Thursday, Thanksgiving night, Steelers, Ravens. They gutted that game. You know what I mean? Like, literally, we're going to get that one in. Doesn't matter who's sick, who's hurt, whatever. Doesn't matter if it has playoff implications. Doesn't matter if it wrecks the integrity. We're going to play it. And I'm just shocked. I really am. I didn't think that they would want to do that back in the summer. Even if they agreed to it, the poison pill and all that once the rubber met the road, they would be smarter than that. They would get in the room and say, come on, we're not going to play a game without a quarterback. We're going to find a different way to do this. That's all. That's. I feel like I'm smarter than that, and I could have gotten in the room and figured out a Week 18. You could figure out stopping the season for a couple of weeks, suspending things, letting the league get cleaned up and healthy, bringing it back in February and March, bubbling out in Vegas. There's a lot of things they could have done, but what they decided to do was water down the product and say the product doesn't matter. We'll serve them hamburger and tell them it's steak. And put the uniforms on and go play. And I a week later, even when I ramble about it, I'm still like, I'm not shocked that they did it. I'm shocked that they're willing to do it more. That they're willing to, like, the next 4 or 5 weeks, that if full teams go out, when the playoffs happen, that they've set this precedent now that they're willing to play games that shouldn't be sanctioned. And I'll leave it at that.
But aren't we doing that everywhere? Don't we get that when we go to our favorite restaurant for carry out and we got that COVID carry out menu that's kind of modified, or when we all get together for Thanksgiving?
But you don't get half-cooked chicken, dude. You don't get raw chicken. Come on. I mean, you get the meal that they're proud to serve you.
Yeah, but not
maybe
my
the
favorite
ketchup
menu
comes in
item.
packets. Maybe it comes in paper plates instead of, silverware at Ruth's Chris, but they are serving you their food that they're proud of. They're not serving you a lesser version of their product.
I don't know. Usually I get the charcuterie powder. Now I'm getting the chicken wings. It's like, it is what it is. You take.
But it says NFL on it, though, man. It doesn't say USFL.
My daughter, when she was in kindergarten, you get what you get and you don't complain. That's what they told her. Like, I think we just take it, enjoy it. We got a little football. Who cares? And it was fun to watch. That Steeler game, frustrating though it was, like, it was neat to have the guys with the opportunity. How about the guys that are never going to play a real NFL football game?
I was great for Trace McSorley, right?
Yeah, it was a great bomb. It might be the best touchdown pass, only touchdown pass he ever throws, for all I know. Maybe he goes on to have a great career. I don't know much about Trace McSorley, but I don't know. You make lemonade out of lemons.
All right, so I'll give you this. Because we're having fun, Todd Schuler. I'll leave you with this week. What job have you ever been recruited to do that you completely were not qualified to do that you had to do anyway? I'm giving you the Kendall Hinton assignment here, right? Like, what have you been, like, they picked you and you're like, dude, I am not the guy to do that.
Right.
And then you have to go do it in the National Football League game, I mean, I can't even – if you needed me to, like, work on your automobile, I would not be the guy. You would not have a car.
Nah, there was we talk about 10 years ago being in the House of Delegates. I was, in my late 20s, early 30s when I got into politics. And, like, really I wanted to run a campaign. I wanted to, like, get elected, Like, it was almost, again, not to bring our buddy up, but it was almost Trumpian. Like, I win and it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, everybody down there is looking to be on this committee and that committee. And I'm thinking, I didn't even know there were committees. Like, I was just, again, my name was on a ballot, Like, I mean, I certainly learned on the job, but yeah.
We all do.
It reminds me of that.
People come up to me and they're like, hey, you're so lucky. You get to talk about sports. That's all you do all day is talk sports. And I'm like, no, I have an FCC tower and I have water in my basement and I have a license and I have lawyers and insurance and employee. Right, exactly. So I the way it looks on the outside is always different than the way it is on the inside.
Right. So,
well, you thought I just get to be the delegate. Then you actually have to, like, go and join what committee did they put you on that you didn't like? Were you on an environmental committee without understanding the environment?
I was on the Judiciary Committee, which is where they put the lawyers, and thankfully
Okay, so
there,
at least
but,
you're qualified.
yeah, at least I was like,
At least you were a
baseline
quarterback
qualified.
in the quarterback room.
And let's be honest, and I don't mean to speak too disparagingly about my former colleagues, but there were a lot of folks there that weren't exactly up to speed, you know.
I saw a few on the initials running against Dutch Rupersberger last week. Dude, I appreciate everything you guys do for us. Through the holidays, I say to people, winter's coming. Bad things happen. If you need a friend, you need a lawyer, you need somebody you can call and turn to. Our friends, damngoodlawyer.com, the way to find them. Blondell Miller Schuler. I pulled it up earlier. You hear the ads here. Todd, we're going to get some football in. These Wednesday and then Tuesday and then Monday. I hope that we just go back to Sunday 1 o'clock games at some point,
Just got to wear the mask, get the damn shot when it comes out, and we are not going to have to worry about any of this next
Listen to Uncle Larry. My wife got a COVID test this morning. It's true. She got in line at the convention center because she's doing the holiday thing with her family, wants to be safe. So I'm encouraging everybody out there, get it early, get in, get your travel in, get settled down. Don't get anybody sick. How about that?
Amen.
Don't do what the Ravens did. There you go. Damngoodlawyer.com, Todd Schuler, Blondell Miller Schuler joining us here. You can find him on the front of BaltimorePositive.com. You can find all of our friends and sponsors probably eating to Harker Brothers ice cream here this month. You can order this, have it delivered to your door. I've got the box behind me. The 8-pack comes to your door, $15.70 off the 8-pack. Use Baltimore Positive as the code. Football and a little bit of politics and a little bit of a Yuletide spirit. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking. Baltimore Positive.